This channel is about crypto assets, but I want to talk about diversification beyond crypto assets. You know, if you have more than $100,000, I'm not a financial advisor, but you probably want to diversify into more than crypto assets, right? Real estate, for example, is a popular asset class, especially if you own the house you live in, you pay rent yourself, usually a good long-term investment. And stocks used to be considered the risky asset class. Now with crypto assets, it's almost old and boring. But one thing I've noticed lately is IBM on the blockchain is killing it. I've talked a lot about what they're doing with Stellar and international payments and working with banks and central banks. So I'm not going to dwell too much on that. But some of the other things I've read about recently, IBM working with Maersk. Let me see if global leader in container shipping and ports. IBM says that 15% of their $8 trillion in costs is from documentation, tracking, paperwork. With blockchain, they can eliminate it. Well, I'm sure there'll be some costs. They can greatly reduce costs by changing all that documentation, to digitizing it, and anyone can get information on where the container is in real time instead of tracking down pieces of paper. Also, IBM working with Walmart and other companies for the supply chain with food. And now being able to track food from the farm it comes from in another part of the world all the way through the supply chain into the store. And what's interesting is if there's ever a food recall, a problem with some food, they can immediately type it in 3 seconds, figure out where it came from, the farm it came from, stop the whole production on food that's gone wrong. So there's some amazing applications. Those are just two of them, and these are with the biggest companies in the world. IBM is going to make money charging these companies to work with them to build these amazing solutions that create tremendous value. Also, I noticed recently too, Joseph Lubin from Consensys with Ethereum. I love listening to him and what he's working on. And he even said, at one point, he's like, the only two options are Ethereum and hyperledger. And in Dubai, which is doing a lot of amazing, exciting things there with the government, Ethereum, Consensys are working with IBM and hyperledger there as well. So almost everywhere where there's something big and exciting, IBM seems to be there. So, you know, the stock has been doing nothing for I don't know how many years. In fact, Warren Buffett loved it in 2011 at $170. He gave up on it. It's taken it forever for the ship to turn. Last quarter, actually, revenue was up year on year. First time in like 6 years. I don't know that the ship has totally turned, but IBM has reinvented itself several times over the past 100 years. I believe they're going to do it again. That's why Warren Buffett invested. He just figured they would do it again. He was surprised it was taking so long. But I think whatever's going on with blockchain, it looks like it's awesome. It's not in the news. They didn't even mention it in their last earnings call. I think it's going to come out soon enough that IBM is looking cool all over again. You know, and for me, I've loved Facebook for a long time, but now we got Zuckerberg saying he's literally going to try to make less money so that the ads are not, they're sort of going to tone it down a little. I don't know. Should Facebook be my biggest position in my portfolio now? Maybe I pick up a little IBM. And for those of you who are just, you're starting businesses, you're finding new crypto assets, you're chasing the dream every day, that's awesome. But someday, you might want to have something old and boring in your portfolio that pays a high dividend. Not a bad idea to put some of your money. You can open up an E-Trade. I got an E-Trade. And I even use it as my checking account. So I don't have a separate account for my checking. And that's a place where you can accumulate some old, boring stock assets. So we can enjoy the sunset here together. Have anything else to say? Oh yeah, and if the crypto market starts to plummet, you know what? IBM, listen, I'm not saying if the whole stock market goes down, IBM won't go down a little with it, but it hasn't moved that much. Its numbers are turning up. And even if the crypto space, if crypto prices are coming down, companies, Maersk is going to still build out its supply chain system, right? Walmart is still going to build out its food supply chain. IBM will do fine with blockchain contract work, even if crypto prices are plummeting. So it's a good diversification within crypto, with still having, I think, pretty good exposure to crypto. What else? It's a little distracting here. I'm watching the sunset as I talk to you. I hope it doesn't look weird, But also, yeah, and I mean, I've talked so much already on the channel about IBM working with banks and working with Stellar, and I just made that video talking how they're working with central banks. But also, what's interesting, and I haven't heard much about this, when Stellar makes a deal with partners, they grant them some lumens. They grant huge numbers of lumens sometimes. And I heard somewhere, and I couldn't find it again, and I don't have proof on this, but I think IBM got 5 billion lumens when they agreed to work with Stellar. Now, that might not be the right number, but still, lumens at whatever they're at today, like 30 to 50 cents, that's a decent asset on their books, and if things work out, that's another thing to keep track of. And just none of this has been in the news. Their earnings call, IBM didn't talk about blockchain. So I like things that are, sometimes it's hard to figure out what is something worth, but it's easier to figure out, are people talking about it? Are people as enthusiastic as they should be for how great it is? And I think with IBM, the blockchains, the things they're doing are underappreciated in the market. I think I got through everything I wanted to say, and it was wonderful to enjoy the sunset with you here today on my channel. Let us all enjoy. Thank you.